We shouldn't have come here, Ao whispered, his voice trembling. Maya, his older cousin, rolled her eyes. Stop being a baby, Ao. It's just a tree. It's not just a tree, Ao insisted, glancing around nervously. Everyone says the tree is cursed. The two stood at the edge of the forest in their small village, staring at a towering baobab tree. Its twisted branches clawed at the sky, and the ground around it was bare, as if no grass dared to grow there. Before diving into the story, don't forget to tell us where you're watching from and what your favorite childhood tale is. Let's get into it. In the small village of Olori, two families were well known for their constant bickering, the Aditos and the Ogonlisis. Their compounds faced each other, and though they shared the same dusty road, they couldn't be more different. The Aditos were quiet, hardworking farmers who believed in tradition and simple living. The Ogonlisis, on the other hand, were loud, ambitious, and known for bending the rules to get what they wanted. The feud had started years ago, though no one could agree on why. Some said it was over stolen farmland, others whispered about a broken engagement. Either way, the bad blood had seeped into every corner of their lives. Ao Adeto, 11, and his cousin Maya, 13, were often caught in the middle. They attended the same school as the Ogonlisi siblings, Ton and Bola, and the rivalry played out even there. Your family thinks they're so smart, Ton sneered one afternoon during recess. But you can't even afford proper shoes. Ao clenched his fist. At least we don't cheat to pass exams. Before a full-blown fight could break out, Maya stepped between them, her voice sharp. Ignore him, Ao. He's just jealous. One hot afternoon, as the sun baked the village, Ton and Bola cornered Ao and Maya outside their compound dot. Bet you're too scared to go near the old baobab tree, Bola taunted. Ao froze. Everyone in the village knew the stories about the tree. They said it was cursed, home to restless spirits. Strange things happened near it, animals refused to go close, and once, a hunter disappeared after touching its bark. We're not scared, Maya said, her chin high. Prove it, Ton challenged, crossing his arms. Go there at sunset and bring back something from the tree. If you don't, you'll admit the Ogonlisis are braver. Maya didn't hesitate. Fine. We'll do it. Ao's stomach churned. Are you sure about this? He asked as they walked back to their compound dot. Maya's eyes gleamed with determination. We'll show them. It's just a stupid tree. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Maya and Ao stood at the edge of the forest. Shadows stretched long and dark, and the air grew heavy with silence. I don't think this is a good idea, Ao whispered. You're free to go home, Maya replied, pushing through the underbrush. The tree loomed ahead, its branches reaching like skeletal arms. As they approached, Ao noticed something strange. There were no sounds. No birds, no crickets, nothing. Let's just grab something and leave, he said, his voice shaky. Maya stepped closer to the tree. She reached out to pluck a dry leaf from a low branch when a cold gust of wind swept through the clearing. The leaf crumbled in her hand. Did you feel that? Ao asked, backing away. It's just the wind, Maya said, though her voice wavered. A rustling sound came from above. They both froze. What was that? Ao whispered. Maya looked up, her heart racing. The branches swayed gently, though there was no breeze. Let's go, Ao said, tugging at her arm. But before they could move, a low, guttural voice echoed through the clearing. Why are you here? Ao and Maya spun around, but there was no one there. The voice came again, louder this time. Leave this place. Panic surged through Ao. Run, he shouted, grabbing Maya's hand. They sprinted through the forest, branches scratching their arms and faces. Behind them, the sound of heavy footsteps grew louder, though they didn't dare look back. When they finally burst out of the forest, gasping for air, they didn't stop until they reached the safety of their compound. What happened? Their parents demanded, alarmed by their pale faces and torn clothes. But neither Ao nor Maya could explain. All they knew was that something in the forest wanted them gone. The next morning, news of their adventure spread through the village. Ton and Bola mocked them. "You ran away from a tree? Pathetic." Ao's face burned with shame. "We're not lying. Something was out there." "Yeah, right," Ton scoffed. "Prove it. Go back and take a picture." Maya bristled. "We don't have to prove anything to you." "Sounds like an excuse," Bola said with a smirk. The argument escalated, drawing a crowd. Adults shook their heads, muttering about reckless children. Finally, the village elder intervened. "This feud has gone too far," he said, his voice stern. "The tree is not a place for games. If you disturb it, you may bring harm to us all." Later that evening, Ao's grandfather sat them down. "That tree is older than our village," he explained. "It's said to guard a secret, a treasure or a curse, no one knows. Many have tried to uncover it, but none have succeeded." Maya frowned. "So the stories are true?" "True enough," the old man said. "And some truths are better left alone." But for Maya, the mystery was too tempting to ignore. Ao tossed and turned that night, haunted by the voice in the forest. But Maya was restless for a different reason. The idea of the tree guarding a secret wouldn't leave her alone. The next morning, she cornered Ao as he fed the chickens. "We are going back," she announced. Ao's eyes widened. "What? No way. We have to," she insisted. "Don't you want to know the truth?" Ao shook his head vigorously. "The truth almost got us killed." Maya crossed her arms. "We can't let Ton and Bola win. And what if the tree really is hiding something? We could be the ones to find it." Ao hesitated. He hated the idea of letting Ton and Bola get the upper hand, but the memory of that voice sent chills down his spine. "This is a terrible idea," he muttered. By the time the sun began to set, Maya had convinced Ao to go with her. Armed with a flashlight and a stick for protection, they crept back to the forest. "This time, we'll be careful," Maya said, trying to sound confident. The forest was even more eerie at night. Shadows danced on the ground, and the silence pressed against their ears like a weight. When they reached the tree, Ao stopped short. "I don't like this," he whispered. Maya ignored him and began circling the trunk. "Look for anything unusual," she said. Reluctantly, Ao joined her. As they searched, he noticed strange carvings on the bark, symbols he didn't recognize. "Over here," Maya called. Ao hurried to her side. She pointed to a small hollow in the trunk. Inside was a bundle wrapped in animal hide. "What is it?" Ao asked, his voice shaking. "I don't know," Maya said, reaching for it. Before her fingers could touch the bundle, the same guttural voice echoed through the clearing. "You were warned?" The wind picked up suddenly, whipping their hair and clothes. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble. "Run!" Ao screamed, yanking Maya away from the tree. They dashed through the forest, the bundle still clutched in Maya's hands. Behind them, the sound of snapping branches and heavy footsteps followed. When they finally burst out of the forest, they collapsed on the ground, panting. "What did you do?" Ao demanded, glaring at Maya. I just wanted to see what was inside, she protested. Whatever it is, it's not worth dying for, Ao snapped. Back at their compound, they locked themselves in Maya's room and examined the bundle. Carefully, Maya unwrapped the animal hide. Inside was an old wooden carving of a bird, its wings spread wide. The craftsmanship was intricate, but the carving was weathered and cracked. That's it? Ao asked, frowning. All that trouble for a piece of wood. Maya turned the carving over in her hands. It has to be important. Why else would it be hidden? Their conversation was interrupted by a knock at the door. It was their grandmother. Why do you two look so guilty? She asked, her sharp eyes scanning their faces. Nothing, Grandma, Maya said quickly, hiding the carving behind her back. Their grandmother narrowed her eyes. Be careful, children. Some secrets should stay buried. The next morning, strange things began happening in the village. Chickens refused to leave their coops. Dogs howled at nothing. And the air seemed heavier, as if a storm was coming. Villagers whispered about the baobab tree. Someone must have disturbed it, they said. The spirits are angry. Ao and Maya avoided each other's eyes. They hadn't told anyone about the carving, but they couldn't shake the feeling that it was connected to the strange events. We have to take it back, Ao said finally. Maya shook her head. What if it's valuable? What if it's the key to something important? Ao clenched his fist. What if it brings a curse on the whole village? Their argument grew louder until their grandfather appeared, silencing them with a look. Enough, he said. Tell me what's going on. Reluctantly, they told him everything. Their grandfather's face grew grave as he examined the carving. This is no ordinary object, he said. It belongs to the spirit of the forest. By taking it, you have upset the balance. Maya bit her lip. So what do we do? You must return it, he said firmly. And you must apologize to the spirits. Ao nodded eagerly, but Maya hesitated. What if they don't forgive us? That is a risk you'll have to take, their grandfather said. But if you don't, the consequences will be worse. That night, under a full moon, Ao and Maya returned to the forest with the carving. Their grandfather had given them instructions: place the carving back in the hollow and offer a prayer of apology. The forest was alive with sounds, rustling leaves, distant howls, and the faint whisper of the wind. When they reached the tree, Maya placed the carving in the hollow with trembling hands. We are sorry, she said aloud. We didn't mean to disturb you. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the wind died down, and the forest grew still. Ao let out a shaky breath. Is it over? Maya started to nod, but then they heard the voice again. You have returned what was taken. But the balance is not yet restored. The next morning, the village returned to normal. The animals were calm, and the air felt lighter. But Ao and Maya couldn't forget the voice's final words. Their grandfather explained, the spirits have forgiven you, but they have left you with a lesson: never take what does not belong to you. Maya nodded, her adventurous spirit tempered by the experience. Ao, meanwhile, felt a newfound respect for the traditions and stories of their village. As they walked back to their compound, Maya turned to Ao with a small smile. You were right, she admitted. Some secrets aren't worth uncovering. Ao grinned. Finally, you admit it. And though the baobab tree still loomed on the edge of the forest, Ao and Maya never went near it again.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can bring you more amazing stories.